The imager module allows for adjustment of the stereo width of a mix. It uses up to 4 independent bands to do this. 3 solid lines in the spectrum view indicate the current crossover points. In common with other multiband modules, these are added or removed by either right-clicking over the band in the spectrum view or using the plus and minus icons in the bottom left-hand corner. The optimum crossover points for material can be set automatically by clicking on the Learn button and starting playback. Alternatively, they can be click-dragged to be adjusted manually. Once the bands are set up, processing on a band can be turned off using the power icon at the top of the band display. Each band can be soloed using the Solo button. The parameters to adjust are relatively straightforward, and we'll look at them shortly. First, let's take a look at the vector scope toward the right of the display. This provides a visual image of the signal. It's monitored at Ozone's final output and not directly for the imager's output. There are 3 different views available. First and default is the polar sample view. Superimposed on top are 2 lines at 45 degrees to the centre line. These are known as the safe lines. Dots within this area are in phase and dots outside are out of phase. It plots dots per sample that fade out quite slowly, so you are seeing a slightly historical view as well as current. Polar level display indicates the stereo energy of a mix. The length of the rays indicates their amplitude, so longer rays are louder parts of the signals. The angle of the rays indicates their position in the stereo field. Once again, if the rays are within the 45-degree safe lines, they're in phase. Outside of those are out of phase signals. History here is represented by the shaded area, which shrinks back towards the centre, while the outside area surrounded by a solid line represents the current signal. Lissajou uses dots per sample, but this time they are viewed with a centre point. Vertical patterns indicate material that is similar in both left and right channels. A vertical line would indicate mono. Horizontal patterns indicate 2 channels are very different and may well indicate mono compatibility issues. The correlation meter on the right indicates similarities between channels. If material is similar in each channel, the meter is more towards the top. In the extreme case of mono, it would be at +1. Towards 0 indicates a wide stereo image, while towards the bottom indicates left and right are out of phase, with potential for phase cancellation. -1 would indicate exactly out of phase. Most recordings should have a phase correlation somewhere between +1 and 0. There's also a trace view available at the top of the display. Click on the icon to display that. Here you can see the display that mono material produces in all of the displays, as I've set the imager up to produce mono output. As mentioned, the parameters are fairly straightforward. Each band has a bandwidth slider. At 0, the audio is unaffected. Increasing the slider into positive settings widens the image for that band. Reducing the slider into negative settings reduces the width down to -100, which is mono. Stereoizer uses stereo synthesis to add natural sounding stereo width to mono or narrow sounding recordings. Turn it on or off using the on-off icons. The Stereoize slider works in conjunction with the width sliders to control the character of the stereo effect. And that's the image module, a tool for adjusting and checking the stereo image of your mix.